What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2 and yet another defense spotlight. This is current through the Power of the Ancients and being recorded in February 2018. Now, the playlist that this video is in will be constantly updated, and no video on that playlist will have outdated information. As I go through and replace all of the spotlights, I'm going to work on defenses first and then heroes afterwards, and they will be not only up to date but also include the incorporation of hyper shards for those that have completed mastery. Now, in the current state of the game, we all know that Dryad is just OP. She is quite the beast, and I figured I'd start things off with the Dryad's bread and butter, and that is the Hornet's Nest, or as we all lovingly refer to them, the bees. Now, of course, we know we can't place any bees without a tree, and the bees can do just absolutely significant amount of damage. Now, the numbers you see for the attack damage and crit damage on the tooltip is per bee. This is not split information. So you are actually getting a very large DPS number out of these bees, and the damage dealt can just go through the roof by the end of matches. Now, one important thing to note is the Hornet's Nest is indeed a single target tower. It's just it has multiple towers within it. So just by default, we get 2 bees. Each bee is going to attack independently, and each bee will not attack the same target. So for each Hornet's Nest you have laid down, only 1 bee from that Hornet's Nest is going to attack per target. Now, of course, multiple Hornet's Nests do stack, so if you have, say, 3, then 1 bee from each of these Hornet's Nests will attack each target, and 2 bees available for each nest at a time. Now, of course, if you're going to play with Dryad defenses, you really should play actively on the Dryad. And the Hornet's Nest is no different. When you go corrupt, you get a 3rd bee. Now, this means each Hornet's Nest can attack 3 separate targets at a time, and it gives it the potential to clear out even heavy traffic lanes, considering it is a single target defense. So as long as you can stay corrupt throughout the course of the map, you're going to have 3 bees for each Hornet's Nest going ham as you go. Now, there's several shards that you're going to really want to use throughout, from Chaos 1 all the way to Endgame. I'm going to go through all of those shards that would be a good fit for the bees from start to finish. Let's go ahead and check that out. First off, let me pop the shards out, and this is the power trio that I personally like to use. I'm using Power Transfer, Defense Critical Damage, and Mass Destruction on a medallion. Now, of course, this is the Endgame Build, so this is what you want to work up to. Let's go ahead and pop all those shards out, and I'm going to put them in order that you would find them. So let's swap those around, and looking good. Now, first things first, when you first jump into the game, one of the first shards you're going to get that is going to be a defensive shard and something for one of your towers is Defense Critical Damage. As with all defenses, the bees are no different. Defense crit damage does stack up very nicely with them, and it's a shard that you're even going to want to use in your very final endgame build, depending on how your substats roll. With this particular medallion, I've got a lower defense health roll, so I'm getting more benefit out of defense crit damage. Now, if my defense crit damage roll was low and my defense health roll was higher, I would probably get more benefit out of Vampiric Empowerment. Regardless, when you first start off, defense crit damage should definitely be in your Hornet's Nest and one of the go-to shards that you use. Another early game shard you're going to get is Destruction. Now, Destruction is really only going to be helpful for you early game, and the further you get through the game, you're going to find this shard a lot less useful. Although it is still an awesome shard, it's not a shard you're going to be using for the entire life of the game, but definitely for the first several Chaos tiers. Now, when you get to Chaos 3, the Deadly Strikes shard drops, which is probably one of the most significant shards in the game overall, and with the bees it can be no different, with one exception, which I'll get into in a bit. I do recommend using Deadly Strikes until you get the ranged gambit on your bees maxed out. Once you get the ranged gambit on your bees, I don't use Deadly Strikes, and instead I take more damage. And here's why. Let's move this tree as far out of the picture as we can here. Let's just go over here with it. So now when we take a look at the bees, we see the enormous range of them. They can go a long way. I know it's pretty difficult to see the circle. Let me go ahead and drop another one you can see. Like right here, they would go all the way to the target dummy, which makes the bees extremely versatile. You're able to use them in all Chaos Trials tiers. Because of this, you can put the bees just about anywhere and they're going to reach their target. Now remember, the bees do have to travel to their target. The hornet's nest isn't shooting at the target. So although they do have really nice range, if say one mob is all the way over here and the bees are attacking it, and then the next mob is all the way over here, it's still going to be within the bees' range. However, they're going to have to travel all the way over to get to that next target. Now, when you are in corrupt form, the bees do travel slightly faster, so that helps things out quite a bit there. Now, there are still situational times, and just times that are just plain fun, where I do still use Deadly Strikes on top of the full range gambit. However, I don't really find it necessary once you get that range gambit maxed out, as the bees just have absolutely amazing natural range built in. Now moving right along, in Chaos 4 you're going to get Defense Rate. Defense Rate is going to be another go-to shard for you early game that you just aren't going to use very often end game. Now, when you first get this shard, pop it into your bees. It is definitely going to help things out and is going to get that attack speed flying on them. Power Transfer is another one of the game's more significant shards. So Power Transfer is going to drop in Chaos 4 as well, and it is going to be a go-to in your bees no matter what you're using. Now, by choice, I do use a medallion. However, if you've got a really nice mark that is better than that medallion, by all means use it. It's not going to be quite as good in overall DPS as the medallion is. However, it will still get the job done for you, and as long as you're getting that victory screen at the end, that's what's really important. So if you have a good mark, by all means use the mark, and I will go through the in-game shards with you you're going to want to use there. Now, after Power Transfer and Defense Rate in Chaos 4, you're going to move on to Chaos 5, and you're going to get Vampiric Empowerment. Now, Vampiric Empowerment is another one of those shards where sometimes it'll be better, sometimes it won't be as good, depending on the substat rolls that you have on your medallion. Now, this is the last shard you really are going to need to complete all of the current content in the game. We do know there are hyper shards available in Mastery, and the very first hyper shard you get is Mass Destruction. Mass Destruction is very easy to obtain since it is in the first tier of stars for Mastery, and it is significant in your bees and definitely the best in slot shard once you get it in game. So my particular endgame build with this medallion is going to be Mass Destruction for certain, Power Transfer without question, and then for the third shard, depending on the substats, I'm going to use either Defense Crit Damage or Vampiric Empowerment. With this particular medallion, Defense Crit Damage is by far the winner, and it allows me to get some really nice damage out of my bees, and of course, as they scale up, oh man, they just get plain beastly. Now, if you actually get your bees up to tier 5 in a map and you start watching them burn through even the largest of packs, you will be completely amazed at how incredible they are. Now, I mentioned the big range of the bees and the versatility they offer. The reason I say that is, say this is our lane. If we're in Chaos 2 or Chaos 5, we have cyborgs present. We can't just throw bees down the middle of the lane. The cyborgs will disable them because technically it is a trap, and cyborgs of course disable traps, nodes, and auras. So in Chaos 2 and Chaos 5, you just need to be a little bit more careful with your bees placement and take them off the path. So say once again this was the path that we're on, I can actually put these bees all the way over here and still hit that path. Now that's obviously a ridiculous exaggeration there. You would never need to put them that far away. However, you can put them, say, about here, and the cyborgs will be well out of range where they will never aggro to those bees. Now, in addition to that, bees also do attack flyers, so they attack ground mobs and flyer mobs, and a hornet's nest placed up high somewhere can give you pretty much 100% guaranteed flyer control, as they are just devastating. Once they get on you, they don't leave, and the stings never ever stop. Now, taking a look at the Ascension, when you first start out, you're going to want to make a few crucial decisions. Now, first off, every single builder in the game, if you're going to build on that hero, your first 20 points in the utility category have just got to go into defense crit. After you're done with defense crit, you'll be Ascension level 60 now, and then you're going to want to start working on the range gambit for your bees. Now you have to ask yourself, is this the only defense that you're going to build on this particular hero? Like me, for example, I have a separate Dryad for each defense. I've got my Tree Dryad, my Bee Dryad, my Slimes, and my Nimbus, all independent of each other. So all I'm going to do on this hero is build nothing but Hornet's Nest. If that is the case and you do have multiple Dryads, you can skip defense speed, as the gain you get from it is minimal, and it's not, you're going to get more power overall if you put your first 20 points directly into it. So when you're at Ascension level 60, you should have 20 points into either your Hornet's Nest damage, if this is your only builder, or defense speed if you're building multiples with this one Dryad. And utility, straight up crit chance, you gotta have it. Crit chance is probably the largest factor in the game, and make sure you get every point of crit chance you can. Of course, in the offense category, that depends on if you're playing the Dryad actively, if this is your go-to, and how you decide to play it would be where you put your points there. Hopefully this helps everyone understand their bees a little bit better and encourages them to get out there and try the bees in every single Chaos trial tier, as they are effective and just amazingly versatile. So that will do it for now. Thank you very much for watching. Click that like button, please subscribe to the channel. I am going to go through all the Dryad's defenses first, but let me know in the comments below what hero you want spotlighted next for the Power of the Ancients defense spotlight. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.